What do you say about that win?
I think it's absolutely the biggest of my career. Probably the one that I'm most proud of, just because of what happened in my last fight, and typically guys that come off of title losses don't bounce back like that. A lot of times you see guys come off of title losses and they lose another one after that, and it takes a while to get back on that horse. So just being able to battle through, and just, I don't know, man, just come in here, I didn't really feel like I was in enemy territory, but I absolutely could tell that he was the favorite. You know what I mean? I mean, they're happy to see him. So I was just relieved to get in and get out of there with the W, and I'm just excited to go home.
Now, you and your Swedish opponent who you defeated, you had one thing in common, both up against John Jones in your latest fight.
Yeah.
How did you pick up the scraps after your defeat to come back and go up against a contender or high-ranked fighter?
Listen, nothing in my entire life has ever come easy for me. If you go back and look at my career, there's been lots of ups and there's been lots of downs. And we can all sit around and think about things when they're not going our way. And we can blame people and we can point fingers and you can try to make excuses. But the sooner you decide that you're done making excuses and you just want to figure it out, then you just got to shut up and put your head down and do it. I just put my head down and I just grind. I've said it before and I'll say it now. I'm going to be a world champion or I'm going to die trying. I'm not going to stop. So all these people that keep talking about me being a fluke or a flash in the pan, you guys are doing yourself a disservice, because I'm coming and I'm not going anywhere. I'm not until there's a gold belt around my waist. Then you can start thinking about what Anthony Smith is going to do next. But until then, it's coming forward and swinging hammers, and I'm going to do what I got to do to get the W. And it's not always pretty. I'm not the prettiest fighter in the world, but I don't have to be, because obviously I can beat the best guys in the world doing it my way.
And finally, from me, obviously, as your nickname, Lionheart, you showed Heart of a Lion. You came to Swedish territory. You defeated the most acclaimed Swedish fighter. Now, what happens for Alex? Do you think? Where do you see him? Like, is he really retiring?
I really hope not. I do. I've said it to him twice since he did it. He's got a lot to give. He's got a lot left, and I've seen it firsthand. He's got a lot left, and I just hope that he doesn't look at a loss like me or to me as something super negative, because like I've said about everyone else, I think that people are having a hard time getting used to me being at the top, and I don't think that me beating him is a reflection of him falling off the wagon or him losing his edge or not being good anymore. That's not it. It's just I'm just not going to be turned away, and I think that this, I hope that he can look at it like that, and it's not, it sounds silly, but it's not you, it's me, and that's really how I feel about it.
Anthony, just down here.
Blue screen.
Hi.
MMA crazy.
Yeah. And thank you. And I was actually going to say, in our pre-fight interview, you told me right after, I'll see you at the post-fight press conference.
I did tell you that before I left on.
Why were you so confident?
Because I know how I felt after the John fight, and I know the work that Scott Morton and Mark Montoya and all my teammates and family members at Factory X and Danny Molina, I know the work that we put in, and I know that I was 100% prepared for anything, and I know my mindset. I just know that there was nothing he was going to do that was going to get me out of there. I said I was going to march across the cage and I was going to find him eventually, and I was going to do what I had to do to get the win. I don't know. I just felt it all week long that something really cool was going to happen.
And you also said that you wanted to get back to your old self. Did you feel that in there? Did you feel like you were back to your old self?
I think approach-wise, yeah. I think that I started a little slow, but I think a lot of that had to do with my mindset of just trying to, I didn't overthink it in training camp, if that makes any sense. I didn't overthink what I thought he was going to do or anything like that. We obviously addressed the things that he's really good at. Mark Montoya had a really good plan for all the things that he's good at, and we had some ideas of where we wanted to go in the places that we think that there was some holes, but I didn't overthink it. I really didn't think about him that much. It wasn't. I didn't really run through the fight through my head a bunch of times like I typically do. I just kind of focused on myself. So because I did that, I kind of had to figure it out as I went, and you know, I would see the uppercut that Mark was talking about. You know, I was like, oh, there it is. You know, so I kind of had to see it first and feel him out. And, you know, it did start a little bit slow, and he did a lot of good things in there that I had to deal with that was a problem. So I don't know. I just felt it. You know, I felt it as soon as I started warming up. I don't know. I was just on. You know, I just felt it.
And I was just curious because there were a couple of times that you glanced over to your corner. Was that just to do with instructions, or what was that?
Well, to be honest with you, the crowd was super, super loud. And I was just tuned in to what they were saying so closely, but a lot of times I couldn't quite catch the end of it. So I would take a step back, you know, look over at Mark. He'd repeat it really quick. Sometimes it's easier to see things or hear something that someone's saying if you can kind of see their lips moving, you know. I've never done that before. I've never like really been that tuned into what he was saying. A lot of times it's, you know, you hear it and you're like, you know, you kind of check it in the back of your head and then you just do it or whatever. But I don't know, I was just really tuned in. You know, I was just on tonight. I was just really, really on. And I think that the way that I approached the fight, I think my mindset that I had in training, I think all that stuff had a lot to do with that.
So you can safely say you have that bad feeling out of your stomach from your previous fight?
Well, not completely. You know, which is kind of indicative to my whole life. Like, I think that I got the answer, what's going to make it go away, and it never really does. So I am very happy right now, and I'm going to sleep good tonight. I'm going to be able to do whatever I want to do from here on out and not lose sleep over it. But we got to get better, you know, because I didn't do everything I wanted to do, you know. There was a couple combinations that the coaches really wanted me to throw, and that I kind of did, and it was a little bit sloppy, and then we were trying to clean it up, and like I didn't do as well as I wanted to do technically, so it's a little frustrating, but you know, we'll figure it out. We'll work it out. You know, I'll figure it out. I always do. Thank you.
Hi, Anthony, right here.
Gotcha, my man.
During the fight,
This guy's everywhere. He's all over the place.
During the fight and during the fight week, I noticed that you might have a runny nose, and I just wanted to ask if you suffered any illness before the fight, or am I just wrong?
No, I got a deviated septum. I've just had my nose broken a couple times, so my nose just runs a lot. Plus, my allergies are bad, and for whatever reason here in Stockholm, my allergies are really bad. So I'm just constantly sniffling around like a little kid.
And what about your hand? Do you have any diagnosis coming from the doctors?
My hand?
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll just figure it out. It hurts, but yeah, I don't know. We'll have to just wait till I get home and see what it looks like on Monday.
So Anthony, ever since your win over Shogun in Hamburg, you were open to fighting Alexander Gustafsson. Mm-hmm. You said you were willing to step up, face him on short notice.
Thank God I didn't fight him then. Honestly, like I think I've gotten a whole lot better since then. But I think everything happens for a reason. I honestly think that it's really fortunate that I didn't fight him at that time because I'm not sure how I would have done then. You know, I think that I'm growing really, really fast, especially at this point in my career. But I can be honest with you guys enough to say that I think that would have been a much, much tougher fight back then than it just was. I think that having the training camp I had against John, I think I grew a lot. You know, the same with the Vulcan fight, and but I'm happy that I fought him now and not then.
I guess that partially answers my question, but what I was wondering was how much this performance and this fight sort of lived up to the expectations or the thoughts that you've had about the potential fight with Gustafsson since then.
He was pretty much what I expected. You know, he was probably a little bit better than I expected. He's faster than I thought. And I don't know how exciting the fight was. You know, like kind of when you're in it, you know, it's hard to tell. So, I mean, I guess you guys would have to tell me. I don't know how exciting it was as far as from a fan's point of view, but it felt like we were in there getting after it. But, you know, sometimes you feel one way and it looks another.
And how much did the hand injury affect you, both your tactics and technique during the fight and just your overall feeling?
Unfortunately, not at all. I knew it was hurt, but, you know, and Mark Montoya said, well, we're going to start throwing elbows. And I didn't. I just kept swinging it, you know, because that's just my mentality. Like, if it's already broken, it's not like I'm going to break it anywhere. So I just kept throwing it, you know, which, I don't know, we'll see what it looks like afterwards. I'm sure the doctors will tell me that's not the smartest thing, but I wish I would have been able to throw some more elbows, though. You know, that was something that we wanted to do in the fight that I didn't get to do a whole lot, but yeah, I'll get home Monday and we'll figure it out.
And the finish there, it was a little bit perhaps it was due to the crowd or the angle where I was sitting, it was a little hard to see exactly what was going on. Were you sure that you were going to get the submission when you started locking it down?
Yeah, for sure. As soon as I got the body triangle, and then as soon as I got both hooks in, I knew that it was over. Especially with that much time left on the clock. I don't know exactly how much time was left, but I knew that it was enough time. If I take your back, for the most part, like, you're probably just done. I mean, that's just how it is. You know, I'm a legitimate black belt in the gi under Scott Morton, and I've been with this same jiu-jitsu coach for 12 or 13 years. You know, I can grapple, and I think people are starting to figure that out now. But that's in the last 4 fights, it's 2 backs I've taken. That's 2 finishes. You know, like, you're probably just not going to get away. It's just how it goes.
And finally, there's a lot of changes coming to the light heavyweight division, and we see guys like Jimmy Manuwa and Gustafsson sort of falling down a bit through the ranks, and then guys like Alexander Rakic and Johnny Walker, you know, going higher. Where do you see the future of the division going, and where do you see, like, your next matchup coming from?
Honestly, like I told you guys before, I don't know. I haven't even thought about it. But I'll tell you the same thing I told John. I'll see him again, and that's what I'm working towards. I'm working towards the fight with John Jones. I want to get back to that title shot, and that's my plan. That's the goal. So whatever that looks like when I come back, you know, figure out what this hand injury is all about, and we'll just go from there. But I mean, that's what I want. I mean, I wouldn't still be here if I wasn't still chasing John Jones.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anthony, just a quick question. Pardon me, about the early rounds of the fight. I found it fascinating to watch your footwork and Alex's footwork, and how the two of you managed the distance. And when you loaded up, you just came up a little bit short all the time. Was that something to do with your hand? Was it his head movement? How did that play out for you in there?
No, you know, this would be a perfect opportunity for me to give myself a rub. But that's him. That's him. He's very, very good at what he does. You know, I talked a lot about his movement and how that was going to be something to deal with. But you're right. There was a couple that I could almost feel. I could feel his hair on his chin, or I could just catch a little bit of skin, you know, just 1 inch further, and I think that all looks different. But that's what he does. That's what he's so great at. That's what he's built his career off of. You know, and he did a great job again. You know, that's why I'm so disappointed that he talked about retirement, because I don't feel like he was missing a step at all. I think he looked as good as he ever has. You know, I just was able to win the scramble in that position, and that's how this game is. You know, that. There's the most consequences in this sport than there is in any other sport. You know, you make one mistake and that's it. You know, it doesn't matter what other sport you want to talk about. You can, in American football, you can have a bad series and still win the game. It's the same with basketball. You can have a bad possession and still win a game. You can't make you can't make one mistake in an MMA fight at this level and still win. It just doesn't work like that.
On that very subject, were you surprised that Alex went for that takedown? Because the takedown he went for kind of went wrong, and that was where you took his back. Were you surprised that he was willing to go to the ground with you? No, not at all. He's a well-rounded fighter, you know, and he got a takedown in the round previous. So I think a lot of times when the striking battle starts to become too close, that's how he wants to even it up and at least pull ahead a little bit. And it was a great takedown in the round previous to that. You know, he surprised me. You know, I wasn't expecting that type of a takedown. He kind of stepped behind me, so he almost tried to do the exact same takedown again. But I was ready for it, because now I knew, all right, and like now he feels like the striking is getting too close for his comfort. He's gonna want to get some takedowns and try to pull ahead. So I was ready for it. I was able to get the scramble and come to his back. And finally, what makes it so inevitable when you take somebody's back that you're going to end up choking them out?
That's Scott Morton 101. That's my jiu-jitsu coach. That's just my game. You know, like every fighter, specifically grapplers, have their style. You know, they have their game that works for them, and the rest of their jiu-jitsu is kind of worked around getting to that position. And mine has and always probably will be getting to someone's back. And once I get there, you know, I have long legs. I'm able to lock up the body triangle. I can stop you from turning. You know, he tried really, really hard to turn to his back and give up the mount. But that's just how it is. You know, eventually, if I have enough time, I'll choke you, and that's just how it is. And it's, you know, and that's just the game. You know, like had we been in another position, he might have gotten right back to his feet. You know, it's just we just happen to end up in my A game. Thank you.
Hello. Congratulations on your win. You gave us a fantastic show tonight.
Thank you.
And in a pre-fight interview, you said that you are a type of fighter who learns on the job. You are constantly evolving. So what do you take from this night? What have you learned both professionally and personally?
Professionally, I learned I need to really work on being a better offensive wrestler. I need to be able to threaten another, because my jiu-jitsu is good, right? But so far it's been mostly off of defensive wrestling. So I need to be a better offensive wrestler. I need to give that threat of the takedown to get to the top on my terms and not kind of on everyone else's. Because that takedown in that whole series, the end of the fight, was on his terms. I didn't initiate that. That was him. So I need to be better there. You know, if I'm going to pick out one thing I want to be better at, that's probably it. Personally, you know, I think I worked through a lot of skeletons in my closet as far as how I felt emotionally and just, you know, I just got this monkey off my back that I feel like I've been carrying around this dark cloud with me the whole time, you know. So I think I'll probably be a much more enjoyable person to be around for a little while.
Anthony, one question which our followers and readers and MMA fans in Poland wanted me to ask you about. We have a number 6 light heavyweight in ranking, Jan Błachowiczu. I wanted to ask you, do you consider him as a potential opponent? And are you keeping your eye on his upcoming bout versus Luke Rockhold, who is coming up to knock the door at light heavyweight? What's your pick on it?
Yeah, no, I absolutely keep my eye on that fight a little bit. I think Jan's really good. I think he's a very similar fighter to Gus. You know, he's a really good boxer. You know, he's very, very good on his feet, and he does very well on the ground too. So that's another guy that I would like to fight at some point in time if that's what comes up. You know, and honestly, I think he's in a very winnable fight. So we'll see what that looks like. You know, I'm not going to get into a back and forth with. I mean, it's a good position to be in. I can just sit at the top and let those guys fight it out. So I'm going to hang out up here for a while and do my thing, and we'll see what it looks like later on.
Thank you.
Thank you. All good? Awesome. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate you.